Clara, and today we are reading all about the Tower of Babel. So let's get into it. Long, long ago, God made the whole world. So wonderful and so very fine. He wanted the people to obey His word and to praise His holy name divine. God wanted the earth to be full of life. To the people He gave a command: scatter yourselves in this beautiful world. Have many children, fill up the land. See, they're filling up the land right here as well as there, but this is all bare. But the people did not obey the Lord. His order went greatly unheeded, which means that they weren't listening to what God had to say. Instead, they met in one place on a plain with all that they thought they had needed. One day, they came up with a great big plan to build a huge city on the plain. Let's make a tower up to the heavens so all people will know us by name. They stated the tower will reach the skies. That way, we can stay all together. We will not move away from here, not at all. We will not leave each other, not ever. See, they're starting to create the tower as well as people helping and making the bricks. So the people made their bricks out of clay. They mixed sticky asphalt for mortar. They worked every day for hours so that the tower would be finished much faster. Higher and higher the tower rose up tall, and the people looked on with great pride. We are making a name for ourselves now. With this tower, the city so wide. So they're making more of the tower, making the bricks. Then God came down from the heavens to see the people's great pride and resistance. They thought they would do things on their own without God's good help and assistance. For God saw the people did not have a care for how they snubbed orders given. Well, He was giving orders, or snub means that He was giving orders to them, but they weren't necessarily giving a thought or thinking about like, oh, I should do what God says. They're like, I'm going to follow what I know. And they thought only of the name they would make and how they reach God up in heaven. Then there's the people probably battling with God and being like, I don't need your help, God. Which is silly to think about. God knew that when the tower was finished, the people would think to themselves, perfect. If that happened, they'd never obey Him, never adore Him, or give Him respect. God said, everyone now speaks in one tongue. This aids them in all that they do. Let us perplex and befuddle them, mix up and muddle them, stir their talk so they won't have a clue. And what this means is that God, while they are able to speak in one language, while we are able here to speak one language maybe in a classroom, but the thing is now we have a lot of different languages in the United States, and there might be people who might not speak the same language, and this is kind of how the creation of that kind of happened. So let's move further on. The people kept on talking as usual, but their words sounded foreign and odd. When one asked for a hammer, mortar, or brick, the other might just hand him a rod. When people could not speak to one another, they left the city and tower undone. They scattered on the earth as God told them. The proud people were no longer one. They filled up the earth with their families, finally obeying God's good command, for God was still with them. He loved them, forgave them, and sent them out to live in the land. You see that right here, as I was pointing out. The city and the tower were called Babel because their God confused people's talk, which turns out creating language, which I think is kind of cool. They learned the hard way to obey God's plan, to listen to Him, and to walk His walk. And that's the end of the story for today. Okay, just to briefly talk about what we have learned here today is that, the people who were building the tower were not listening to God's commands, or actions is a easier word to say. And similar to how we might not listen to God, or sometimes we might not listen to our parents or even our teachers, and we are just thinking about ourselves, and sometimes there are consequences or reactions to that, and God needed a big way to show them that they weren't following His commands, and so He was able to spread them out, and He was able to still fulfill that command, and He still loves those people, and He still loves us whenever we do not listen, but we just need to remind ourselves to listen and to be obedient and to follow God. Yeah.